someone take over the world, as the Germans had hoped to do, at least a big part of it. So the Council on Foreign Relations wrote a memorandum and started making plans for an empire that was much bigger than the one that had been planned by Hitler and his associates, and included not only that part of the world, but also all of North America and Australia and New Zealand and much of Southeast Asia. And I guess the discouraging thing is they've been working at it ever since, without ceasing. When the war ended, how many of you are familiar with Operation Paperclip? Hands up. Oh, quite a few. This is I don't need to talk at all. As you know, Operation Paperclip was designed to bring in Nazi scientists to help the Americans fight the communists. And President Truman dictated, he agreed to the plan, but said that no active Nazis were to be brought in. And of course the military did what I have had some personal knowledge with. They ignored their political masters, as we call them, and just went ahead and brought them in anyway. And they had some very, very active Nazis in the group. And then they got to the United States, and there were quite a few of them over a period of time. And they were given new identities, and were then, after they had new identities, were posted to important jobs in both the civil and military parts of the United States government. It was interesting that the CIA, which is a strange mixture of organizations under one roof, had one section that was out seeking Nazis who had gotten into the United States so they could prosecute them or deport them. At exactly the same time that another part of the United States, another part of the CIA rather, was bringing them in under Operation Paperclip. And it tells you a little bit of the way the CIA has and still is operating today. Well, it was inevitable that some of the German scientists would have been familiar with the Greys, one species of the ETs who had been working in Germany during the 1930s prior to the war, and then all throughout the war as well. In the US, there was obviously very little interest in ETs until the two crashes at Roswell, New Mexico, on July 4th, 1947. The causes are unclear. I've heard three explanations. One, a violent thunderstorm. The second one, that they crashed into each other. And the third one, that it was a high-powered radar that had been introduced at the time by the United States Army Air Corps. And that this affected the balance of the control mechanisms in the vehicles that crashed. It doesn't really matter what the cause was. Apparently they were not the same species, or so it said, that one were the Greys and one were the Oranges. And but Roswell seemed to be a watershed. There had been crashes before that, as you know, or some of you know anyway. Allegedly one in the South Pacific that was retrieved by the United States Navy. And then there was one in 1945. It was written up by Paula Harris, and I have a reference to it in my new book, The Money Mafia. On Tuesday, July the 8th, 1947, Mountain Time, Roswell Army Airfield Commander Colonel William Blanchard issued a press release saying that they had recovered a flying disc. That was the truth. It was reported in some of the local press. Later that afternoon, around 4:30 Central Standard Time, Brigadier Roger Ramey, who was Blanchard's supervising officer, put out a press release with an entirely different, alternate story. He said that it was not a flying disc, that it was a Robin target device suspended by a neoprene rubber balloon. That was a lie.